Hello people, it is me, Porky2007, and welcome back to another custom video. And today I'll be talking about how I made the two Trabante brothers, Terry and Bobby Trabante. Obviously based off of the two real-world NASCAR drivers, Terry Labonte and Bobby Labonte. And you might be thinking, why am I calling them Trabante? Well, I'll explain that name right now because anywho, let's talk about how I made these. So the reason why I'm calling them Trabante instead of Labonte is because when I first showed these cars to the public on Instagram, Piston Cupster gave me this idea on a carified version of their last name Labonte, and he came up with Trabante, and the name comes from the word Trabant, which is a German car style, and pretty much combined it with Labonte's. So he came up with Trabante, and I thought that was a pretty good name, so I just used that. All right, now let's get back to how I made the custom. So I pretty much just used a spare Sage Vandersman and Murray clutch burn from that Walmart 2-pack before all the tariff crap. Then I masked the wheels and the windows just so I can like sand it without, you know, damaging those parts. And after all that, I spray painted them with a few coats of primer, and after the primer dried, I spray painted them in their respective colors, green for Bobby and yellow for Terry. And after the base color dried, I started to paint the other parts, such as the red and green for Terry and the black and red for Bobby. And I also painted the wheels on Bobby Trabante this dark green just so it can match the rest of the scheme. And after all that, I started to make the decals on Procreate, and while I was designing them, I had this one question: what should be the sponsor for both of them? The easiest one was Bobby Trabante, since because Bobby Labonte is sponsored by Interstate Batteries, and I immediately thought of Recycled Batteries, which was the company on Jerry's hauler, so I used that for him. And as for Terry Trabante, I wasn't sure what to use since because there wasn't that many options. I wasn't gonna pick Fiber Fuel since because that would be a very predictable, obvious choice, but one sponsor did came into mind when I was making this custom, or I guess making the decals, and that would be Wheelie Shredded Brakes, a fictional brand of cereal that appears on Murray Clutchburn's bio. And ironically enough, I used a Murray Clutchburn for this custom, so I was like, you know what, I'll just use that for the custom. Then I made the logo look more like the Kellogg's cornflakes logo that appears on the hood, and I replaced the little rooster with the cornflakes that look like brake pads. Man, I am so clever. And after I figured out the sponsors, I made the rest of the decals, scaled all of them into Microsoft Word, printed them out, cut them out, and put them on the car, and boom, that is it for the Trabante brothers. So that's pretty much it for how I made the Trabante brothers, Terry and Bobby Trabante. And let's just say though, I really like how these guys turned out because how I implemented the sponsors onto these cars, especially Wheelie Shredded Brakes. I'm really proud of that, and I'm also proud of Recycled Batteries too. That was a pretty clever swap. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Custom, and the next episode of Custom will be a little special since because, well, I'm gonna be talking about how I made a certain character, which I won't say the character's name, but all you need to know that it's very special. But anywho, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure you leave a like if you like the video, and if you want to see more of this content, subscribe. And you boulder.